All right, we got a few folks here. 2 folks. What's up, buddy? Seven people now. I'm gonna wait for just a little bit, let you guys filter in. 11 folks. Jaden Wallace, I shoot a Matthews Tri-X. Colin21, shout out to you, buddy. KC, I'm making it, brother. I'm making it. I am going to do another arrowhead challenge. Guys, one thing that I wanted to mention as we dive off into this, I actually have my computer set up here. I'm going to answer a few of these comments that y'all left, as well as answer some questions here, but I'm going to try to keep my hands away from this screen and try to keep myself occupied over here. Make this a little bit more enjoyable for you guys to watch. So I guess I'll just start here at the top. We got about 17 of you in here now. What's up, Jeremiah? So I guess we'll start with Ron Williams. He asked me what broadhead that I use, and I switch around a bunch. I like to try out some different heads, move around. The one that I've been using, I'd say pretty consistently for the last year and a half, is the set of Broadheads. Not really a fan of their customer service per se, not really a fan of the company in general, just the way that we had some conflict, I guess, if you want to call it that. So, I had an interaction with them. They reached out to me, and they just didn't handle the situation very professionally, so I try not to, I guess, really promote them. I do like their heads. They make a good head, but I don't express that. Maybe that's just me being, what's the word for it? Upset? I don't know. They should have handled the situation that they had with me better than what they did. So here's, like I said, that covers that question. We're going to move on just a little bit. When is the first time, this is coming from Ian Nebraska? I assume that's how you say that, buddy. I'm not trying to butcher this, but it says, when is the first time you shot a deer with a bow, and what kind? The first deer I shot was, oh man, it's been a long time ago, over 10 years ago, I guess. I shot it with a Matthews Creed XS, maybe. When is the first time you shot a deer? Yeah, that would have been 8 years ago, somewhere in there, and it was with the Creed XS. What bow must I get for my second bow? I would say, because I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to bounce back and forth here between questions. I'm reading the comment that says, what bow should I get for a second bow? What you should do there, Ryan, is you should go to a bow shop. Go to a pro shop somewhere and shoot a bunch of different bows and see which one fits you best. South Texas bow hunting, I would love to shoot another javelina. That was a lot of fun. The next question here is coming from Wes Smith's Outdoors. It says, best tips to grow a small YouTube channel. Post as much as you possibly can. That is the way to go. Post as much as you can. And keep putting effort into it. Keep trying to put out quality content. Sometimes that quantity over quality type of deal comes into play. but just post. Tim Winslow, just as far as sighting in a bow, there's not really a whole lot to say there. It's fairly straightforward and easy. What you need to do is, it's the opposite of sighting in a rifle scope, and you need to follow your arrow. So if you're hitting to the left, you need to adjust your sights to the left. If you're hitting to the right, you need to adjust your sights to the right. What are my thoughts? That's a good question, Dustin. What are my thoughts on electronic game calls? So I'll preface this question with this. I have electronic game calls, and do I think it's cheating? No, I think it's most definitely part of the game. I think you have to be special. You have to practice a lot. It's just like calling turkeys with a diaphragm call. You have to be good at using those sort of things, those mouth calls and stuff like that. And a game call, an electronic game call, is something that's easy for folks to do, and it gets them out into the field, and it gets folks hunting and predator hunting. And so I think that that's a really great thing. So here's another question that came off of the videos, or that came off the last video. It says, how do you stop shaking when you're shooting a bow? That's pretty easy. All you have to do to stop shaking when you're shooting a bow is, well, that's kind of, actually, the more that I think about that, that's kind of a hard question to answer. So, are you talking about shaking whenever you have an animal coming out in front of you, and you get that buck fever, regardless of what animal it is? That's just what we refer to it as. It's buck fever, and you just start getting shaky. That's a mental thing, in my opinion. You just have to try to stay calm and do your best to keep your cool. You have to talk yourself through those steps. Whenever you see that animal coming in, you have to say, okay, animal, it's me and it's you, and I'm going to make a good shot. I'm going to keep my cool, and then after the fact, whenever you make that shot, then you can shake and be excited. That's kind of my go-to. Now, if you're talking about how do you stop shaking when you're shooting a bow at just a target or whatever that case may be, it's still a little bit of a mental game. And if you're referring to target panic, then again, just a mental game. And then number 3, how do you stop shooting when you're shooting a bow? Practice. The more you practice and the more you shoot, the better you'll be. I know whenever I first started shooting a bow, I was wearing my muscles out, so I was super shaky. And so if you can fix that, you'll be in some good shape. It could just be some muscles. What questions do we have rolling through here from you guys? Should you shoot a deer with a shotgun at 75 yards? Guys, I'm not a shotgun hunter, so I couldn't tell you that. I would imagine if you were shooting a slug, you had a full choke and maybe a scope or a red dot on your shotgun, and you practiced that shot before and you know what your gun's going to do at that distance, then by all means, take the shot at 75 yards with a shotgun. You just need to know your holdover. If you could only shoot a hog or doe, one for the rest of your life, what would it be? Oh man, that's hard. I'd probably take hog hunting, because here in Texas, hog hunting is year-round, and there's no limit, there's no season, there's nothing on it. I love hunting whitetails, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about shooting hogs that I just love so much. Let me see here. Jaden Wallace, I do like my bow. I'm fixing to actually get a VXR here in the next week or so. Wiser tips on spotting and stalking game. I do spot and stalk. I actually just posted a video not too long ago of me stalking up on a hog. That's a lot of fun. As far as tips go, make sure that you got the wind in your face. Make sure that whenever you stalk up on an animal, whether it be daylight or at night, make sure that you're not presenting yourself as a moving target per se. Don't make a lot of movement. Don't make yourself known. I think that's pretty typical. I think that's pretty common, and that's there's a lot of different things. That's a a very broad topic, and we could talk about that for hours. But yeah, there's just a couple of tips there. And the biggest one I would say is making sure that your wind is right. And if you have your wind right, and you're not out in the open, I would say, especially for during the day, you're probably going to be fine sneaking up on animals. If you have to, and you find yourself in the situation where you got to belly crawl. Depends on how bad you want the animal you're going after. I mean, Dustin, you're just hitting me with all kinds of good questions, buddy. No, I don't wear scent control. I will rely basically 100% on wind direction, and I've hunted that way for 3 or 4 years now, 5 years. 100% wind direction. And if I even think that the wind is going to be in a slightly weird direction, I won't go hunting, which is kind of difficult for me because I've got to put out content for you guys. Now, I have used it. I've gotten some stuff from some folks that's worked really, good for me, and I've been impressed with it. And one of the ones is Hunt Lab Technologies, and it worked really well. I was impressed, and I still use it from time to time. But I mean, in the last 6 or 8 months, I've been 100% just reliant on wind direction, and that's the way that a lot of you guys should think about hunting as well. Even if you spray down and scent killer, you're still going to throw off or alert an animal's nose when it comes to scents. It's just something that's weird to them, and so regardless of whether your scent is killed or not, you're basically covering it up or trying to cover it up, and animals still know. They're pretty good at that stuff. TTW, Bushcraft and Outdoors. How old was I whenever I took my first boar with a bow? Oh man, I was probably... This is going to take some serious thought because we're reaching way back here. I'd say I was probably 13. 13, 14. I'm 21 now, so that's been 6, 7, 8 years ago. What is my furthest shot with a bow at an animal? I like that question. My furthest shot is 68 yards. I hit a pig. I actually have a video where I shot a pig at about 68 yards, give or take a couple of yards. Shot was a little bit far back, but I watched her fall in sight, and it was great. What's up? Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna go through some more of these questions here. The air gun guy asked me. He said, "Will you go to New Zealand or Africa?" I hope to go to New Zealand one day in the very near future. I have been to Africa. I have a whole list or a whole playlist of videos from my Africa trip, and if you guys haven't seen those, go ahead and check those out. Those are great. That was an awesome trip with Bailey Simple Safaris. My favorite fixed head, this question coming from Tanner. My favorite fixed head is it's a Magnus Buzz Cut. I took it to Africa with me, and I absolutely loved it. It killed probably 75 or 80% of my animals in Africa. It's a great head. Just a 2-blade, normal old fixed head. It's a good stuff. Kenneth, no, I do not hunt with a muzzle loader. This is something that I considered picking up this past season, and I didn't do it. And maybe this next fall I'll try it out, or maybe this summer or something. Let's see here. Adrian Arroyos. Have I ever hunted a piece of land where the neighboring ranch is doing construction and covers up hog trails? And if so, how do you hunt that land? I can't recall finding myself in that situation, but I know that a buddy of mine has found himself in that situation, and all he did was just leave his feeder rolling and hoped for the best. He was actually turkey hunting. It was actually this spring. There's some construction that started up, and he ended up killing a turkey one morning with welders and construction and everything else going back in the background. So, it just depends on what the animals are feeling. Yes, you should shoot a kudu. They are awesome. The African Allure Outdoors, I do shoot a heavy arrow, a high FOC arrow. That forward of center, that high forward of center is a good stuff. I shoot about a 515 grain arrow. This is a question that I kind of touched on in my last live stream. Have you ever tested a rage? I have. I've tested regular rage broadheads, and I've tested some knockoff rage broadheads, and I'm a fan of neither. Basically, from the time I started bow hunting until up to current day, I still have buddies that shoot rages, and they work best in deer. We'll put it that way. Do not try to put one through a hog, and I have plenty of buddies that will attest to that. It is a waste of time to try to put a rage through a big hog. To me, since they're made out of a not so strong steel or high grade aluminum, they are pretty flimsy. I would even go as far as calling them a piece of junk. I'm not a fan. This is not my full-time job. I do have a day job. If YouTube was a little bit more reliable, this would be a full-time gig. Let's see here. I've got a few more questions I want to go through here. When did you start hunting pigs? Oh, I've been hunting pigs since I was probably 6 or 7 years old. I went out with a friend of mine growing up, and his dad always took us out, and we always enjoyed it. This question comes from James Shoemaker over here on my recent video. It says, what is your favorite part about hunting hogs? My favorite part about hunting hogs is, the challenge. That has to be it. It has to be the challenge because they are such smart animals, contrary to popular belief. Feral hogs are extremely intelligent animals, and their sense of smell is, ridiculous. It is a definite challenge to get after some feral hogs if you are new to it, I would say, especially. Let's see here, what else? We got some other ones rolling through here. The African Allure, thanks for the kind words. I appreciate you watching. When am I coming to Africa? I was in Africa this past summer, and I think we will be making a return trip in the summer of 2021. So we're coming up on a year from now. We will be coming back. On my list of animals is, I think I want another kudu. Definitely going to have to shoot some more warthogs, because who goes to Africa and doesn't shoot warthogs? And then waterbuck, Inyala, giraffe is going to be on that list, and there's a few others. I have a list, but Cape buffalo, that's another one. I really want a Cape buff, but we'll see how that goes. Mr. Dempsey Bailey will take care of me on that one. Eland, eland would be is another one. It's not on the very top of the list, but it's definitely one of those animals that I do want, no doubt. Okay, what happened to my comments? They're all disappearing. There we go. My scariest moment hunting. Oh man. I don't know. I have to think on that and get back to you. Australia would be a really, really neat place to hunt. I'd appreciate that. Bushcraft and outdoors. That'd be awesome. I don't think I'd ever travel to Australia just for the fun of it. If I was going to come to Australia, I think I would definitely be hunting. That would be my sole purpose of traveling there. Adrian Arroyos. If you only get 24 hours on the ranch, man, you better have your hiking boots on. If you have cell cams, throw some cell cams up on some feeders and figure out where them hogs are at and bounce between feeder to feeder and see what you can do. Man, go find them bedded. This time of year, they're going to be spending a lot of time around some water because it's so darn hot. If you're around the Texas area, it's getting pretty warm. And yeah, look for them around water, look for them around feed. You can generally always find them there. My biggest turkey is about a 10.5-inch beard, roughly. I don't remember what his spurs were, somewhere between an inch and an eighth and an inch and a quarter, something like that. Not just overly large spurs, but pretty good spurs. What is my favorite hunt of all time? This question comes from Team Fresh Fishing. I think my favorite hunt of all time, I'll list three, or I'll list two for now. One of my favorite hunts of all time I'll list three. One of my, in this top three, Africa, this past January, where my dad shot his first buck with a bow, and my first big buck with a bow. Those are probably my three. Africa, my first buck, and Dad's first buck, yeah. Those are some awesome hunts. Some of my favorites right there. Guys, keep these questions rolling in. I'm going to keep answering. We're going to go for about another 8 minutes. I have not ever used William Collins' knife. I'll have to check them out. What would you... Hunting with me? I need you to repeat that question for me, please. Let's go through some other questions here that I've got. Let's see. The biggest buck that I've ever shot. This question comes from Bow Slayer. My biggest buck is mid 120 class. Not anything giant by any means, but I'm sure proud of him. Low fence, free range. What would I recommend for tips for coyote hunting? Man, what are you hunting with? You hunting with night vision, thermal, red lights, green lights? What are you going with there? I would just say hunt the wind, and don't start your calling out too loud, depending on if you're using an e-collar. What arrows do I shoot? I shoot Easton injections. I'm loving them. 340 spine. About overall weight, about 515 grains. Do I use different camo patterns for the seasons or game type? I do not. I wear the same pattern. I wear Prime 1 camo, and then I also wear First Light camo. It just kind of depends on what I'm feeling, really. I wore Prime 1 First Light all this season. It's very comfortable, very warm. Fits me much better. My wife's comment is, does that kid ever sleep? Yes, I do sleep just occasionally. Let's go through a couple more here. Matt Reynolds, my biggest turkey is about a 10.5-inch beard. I shoot a Carter Just Cuz Plus release Javier. It's a pretty good little release. It's a thumb release. I really like it. Oh man, saddle hunting versus stand hunting. Dustin, you're full of all kinds of good stuff. If I'm public land hunting, saddle is my go-to. If I'm private land hunting, I kind of like the comfort of my hang-on or my climber or whatever I'm using. Out on my lease, I have lean-to ladder stands and hang-on stands, and I just really enjoy the comfort of those. My saddle, it kind of wears me out just a little bit in the hips. After about 2-3 hours, man, I'm feeling it. Let's see, I got a couple more questions. I got about 5 more minutes here, guys, and then I'm going to cut out on this one. Where in Texas are you? This question comes from Daniel Garcia. I am in Central Texas, Waco area. I'm in the heart of the hill country, at the top of it. What else you guys got here? You guys got any other questions before I close this sucker out? Oh, yes, the African lure. Yes, bush pigs. That was another one. That's at the very top of my list. I'm going to have to absolutely shoot a bush pig. It's Dempsey Bailey's special. Joey the Dinosaur. That's great to hear, man. I enjoy hearing those words. I'm glad that I could help inspire you. All right. Question from Paul Fairbrass. Have I ever tried hog hunting with a traditional bow? No, I have not. I considered picking that up in 2020, and I just haven't done it yet. We will get to it eventually. That's probably going to be this summer project. I've got a great friend of mine that actually hand makes trad bows. So I'm planning on hopefully getting one from him, having him make me one, and then teaching me to shoot, because I know nothing about them. I mean, a little bit, but it'll be a cool and fun learning experience. Oh, here's another good question. This one comes from JD. It says, how do you clean your arrows and broadheads after a kill shot and caked in blood? So guys, if you've ever let an arrow that's been bloody, let it dry up, it'll get super nasty and somewhat hard to clean. But if you'll take like a normal dish cleaning sponge and take your arrow, either put it in the sink, take it outside, put it in the water hose, whatever, take that sponge and just clean it off. Go over your broadhead, go over the arrow, go over the veins, everything, clean it all up, and it works great. Don't really need any soap. I wouldn't put any soap on it if you plan on putting that arrow back in your quiver and taking it back out hunting. You don't want that sweet or good smell. What bow, Bear versus Hoyt versus Matthews? I'm going to tell you Matthews, but I'll also tell you go and shoot some bows and see which one fits you best. Have I ever shot an aoudad? Yes, I've actually shot 3 aoudad. Yeah, do I? I actually process and butcher a lot of hogs per year, especially the ones that I shoot down south. We butcher and process pretty much all of them. The ones that we shoot down south. Up around here, I do butcher and process several of them. As far as tips on that, for a feral hog, they're generally somewhat fatty, but depending on what time of year you kill them, have some beef fat or some other sort of like domestic pork fat thrown in there if you're making sausage or hamburger. If you do, it's hard to do bacon on a feral hog because they're just not big and thick and fat like a domestic hog is. One of my favorite things to do with a feral hog is like breakfast sausage. They make fantastic breakfast sausage, so you need to try that out. I wouldn't really recommend just normal ground up pork, but breakfast sausage is great. Get you some pork chops cut, man. They generally turn out pretty dang good. And if you got a smoker, man, those back straps are something else. All right, so it goes. I'm coming up on. I'm actually over 30 minutes here now. So let me see if I can get these questions pulled back up. A 25-pound turkey. Yeah, that's pretty dang big. I think that's about all I've got, guys. If you have any other questions, throw them in real fast. I'll give you about another 30 seconds or so. Ryan Lehman, you've been around for a long time. If you watched a video where I walked around and showed mounts and give some backstory, man, thank you for being a long-time supporter. You've really been around for a long time. I'll do another one because I've got 2 mounts at the taxidermist right now that are in the process of coming back. My axis is actually right here. You can maybe see a little bit of my axis buck right there. Well, we'll just do this number right here. You guys can see him. There he is. And I've also got my fallow and then all that up over here. I'll have to take you guys into the other room where my little office and desk is set up and show you guys the whitetails and stuff that I've got set up in there. It's pretty neat. Maybe we'll do that sometime this week. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Please subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you did enjoy this video. I appreciate all you guys watching. And yeah, I think that's about all I got for you guys. We'll do this again soon. I really enjoy this, and I'm going to try to do it at a later time in the evening because the last time I did this live deal, there was, oh man, there was like 40 or 50 or 60 of you. There was a bunch, and we're steady averaging about 18 right now. So we're going to try to bump that number up. I'll do them later in the evenings, and hopefully we'll have a lot more of you guys and have more questions and just more interaction. I really enjoy that. So, yeah, I'm going to close this one out. Javier, you take care, buddy. I'll be keeping these videos coming. I really enjoy this, guys. And I will see you in just a couple of days. I got some good stuff coming for you going hog hunting tonight. And we're going to try to put a pig on the ground. But until then, I will see you guys.